In the days of the American frontier, life was as much about survival as it was about exploration. Travellers, settlers and fur trappers crossed vast expanses of land where clean water was a luxury, not a certainty. For many, dehydration, dysentery or waterborne disease claimed more lives than wild animals or skirmishes with hostile forces. Yet, amidst these dangers, pioneers discovered a water trick so simple, so reliable, that it became a lifeline for anyone moving through the wilderness. This was not a secret of modern science. It was born from observation, experimentation, and necessity. Knowing how to find, purify, and store water in conditions where it was scarce often meant the difference between life and death. Today, the same principles can still save you, whether you're hiking, camping, or practicing survival skills in your own backyard. This method didn't rely on expensive filters, chemical tablets, or modern pumps. It relied on an understanding of the land, the behavior of water, and the power of simple tools. Frontier travelers who mastered it could carry water safely over hundreds of miles, reduce illness, and remain mobile even in extreme heat or drought. Understanding this trick is not just an exercise in history. It's a lesson in resilience, observation, and self-reliance that anyone can put into practice today. Frontier travelers survived because they understood how to find hidden sources of water. Many assume that streams, rivers and lakes were the only water sources on the frontier, but experienced travelers knew otherwise. Water collects in low points, behind natural barriers, and even in vegetation. By following animal tracks or examining the landscape for depressions where rainwater pooled, pioneers could locate water that was invisible to the untrained eye. They also knew how to read soil moisture and plant types to predict underground springs or shallow wells. Willow trees, for example, often indicate high groundwater levels, while green patches in otherwise dry terrain can signal hidden water nearby. To apply this knowledge today, start by observing local terrain during hikes or camping trips. Identify natural low points and look for consistent vegetation growth. If you're in a survival scenario, digging just a few inches into damp soil in these areas often yields small but drinkable water sources. This is the same principle that kept frontier families alive in arid plains or semi-desert regions. Purification was simple but effective, long before modern technology existed. Finding water was only half the battle. Contaminated water could spread disease faster than thirst could kill. Frontier travelers developed methods that combined basic filtration and boiling with natural materials. One common technique involved sand, charcoal and cloth layered to remove debris, followed by boiling over a fire to kill pathogens. Charcoal, often produced from burned wood scraps, was especially valuable because it absorbs toxins and improves taste. To replicate this today, collect coarse sand, crushed charcoal and a clean piece of cloth or cotton. Layer them in a container and pour water through slowly. After filtration, heat the water until it reaches a rolling boil. Even in a backyard survival scenario, this method drastically reduces the risk of bacterial contamination and can make rainwater, river water or shallow well water safe to drink. This low-tech process is exactly what saved thousands of pioneers from deadly outbreaks of dysentery or cholera. Storage and transportation were just as important as finding water. Frontier settlers understood that water could be heavy and cumbersome, so they developed portable storage methods using materials at hand. Leather pouches, hollowed gourds, and wooden barrels were common, while simple knowledge about minimizing evaporation and avoiding contamination prolonged usability. To practice this today, use any clean, sealable container for short trips, and consider repurposing gourds or sturdy plastic bottles for longer treks. Always cover openings to prevent debris or insects from contaminating the water. Even a simple cloth or leather wrap over a container reduces exposure and keeps the water drinkable for days, just as it did for settlers moving across long, dry plains. Travellers maximised water efficiency through rationing and observation. Knowing when to drink, how much to carry, and how to maintain hydration was critical. Settlers often limited activity during the heat of the day, travelled in shade when possible, and drank in measured amounts to stretch supplies. They also relied on dew collection or snow melt when other sources were scarce. Today, anyone practicing survival techniques can apply the same principles. Drink water strategically rather than continuously, collect dew from plants in the early morning, and melt snow when available. The frontier water trick worked because it combined observation, purification, and smart storage. The genius of this method lies in its simplicity. It doesn't rely on advanced technology, it doesn't require specialized equipment, and it works in almost any environment. By carefully reading the land, purifying water with natural materials, and storing it properly, pioneers were able to sustain themselves over long distances and through extreme conditions. Modern survivalists can benefit enormously from applying the same lessons, whether in wilderness excursions or emergency preparedness scenarios. The frontier water trick is more than history. It's a timeless survival skill. By studying these methods and practicing them in your own backyard, you gain the knowledge and confidence to sustain yourself when conventional resources are unavailable. If you found this guide useful, make sure to subscribe to Backyard Wisdom, share this video with fellow enthusiasts, and help keep these life-saving frontier techniques alive for future generations.